completely. So I think they're trying to like when we eventually win and defeat the Minotaur, I think they're going to have us fight our partner, so at least some of us die. I think that's their overall plan, but we'll see. Completely, yeah. Scorpions and Manticores, huh? It's a good thing that I've got exquisite notes written about them in notebook. At least we won't go in completely unprepared. I spent the rest of the afternoon reading from my notes. When I felt like taking a break, I called Darren, Kate, Hadrick through the transceivers to find out how they are doing. Darren told me that he couldn't stand any of his teammates and that they were all cowardly mercenaries who had come here to make easy money. Kate said that she almost killed one of her teammates during the recreation period and that she only stopped when she found out it was against the rule. No one had tried to pick a fight with her since. Hadrick seemed to be doing a little better from what he told me. He'd already made most of his teammates into his drinking buddies, and they were spending a lot more time in the recreation area than the 2 daily hours they were required to. Also made sure to tell my friends everything that I heard from the 2 guards earlier, as well as the weaknesses of the behaviors of each type of scorpions and manticores that I knew of. Hopefully this information will help them out in some way. Am I going to tell my own teammates? After I finished talking to everyone, I got back to my reading. I kept doing that until later in the evening, when I was interrupted by the creak of a door and the sound of a familiar voice. Farewell, I hear the disinterested voice of the desk worker coming from the recreation area as the door slammed shut. I immediately realized what this means, and I opened the door of my cell to see who the newest member of our division is. The man who just entered the recreation area, simply radiating magical energy, and he makes no attempt at hiding it. However, it does not appear to be one of the tournament's participants, because I'm seeing a warning sign above his head telling me not to hurt him. Wait, but that shouldn't affect us because we are, that thing, a local. What about the local killer? Because we have the ability the Aiden gave us. He must be one of the local mages. Judging by the looks on his face, it's clear that he didn't come here on his own free will, and he's likely been sent here because he broke the Wraithia law in some way. The mage notices me, but he doesn't bother to acknowledge my presence, and he goes directly to his room. The rest of the day was mostly uneventful, except for a drunk call that I got from Hadrick on the transceiver, who insisted on passing me one of his teammates because of the funny way in which he impersonated a famous noble from the Western continent. The next morning, I was woken up by the same guard from the previous day telling me the recreation period had started. Wakey, wakey. Why do they even have these recreation periods? That's so weird. Wakey, wakey, the guard says, it's recreation time. Recreation sounds like procreation time. I opened the door to my cell and start heading towards an empty area of the recreation room. Just like yesterday, as I walk, I overhear the 2 thugs from my division talking loudly several feet away from me, and I turn around to see what's going on. Looks like they're talking to Layla as she's casually leaning with her back against the wall, watching them silently. Hey princess, one of the thugs says, how about you take us both to your room like you did with the Stillwater yesterday? Yeah, and the other thug says, we have some very tactical information we'd like to discuss with you. Layla continues to look at them without saying anything. The first thug who spoke concludes that he wasn't being intimidating enough, so he now placed both of his hands on the wall behind her as he leans closer to her face. Listen, princess, the thug says, you can drop the silent act. I know you can understand me, so you better wise up and do what I say, or else I'm going to hurt you so badly that you wish you... The thug didn't get to finish his sentence because Layla decided she had enough, and she punched him so hard in the stomach that the man fell down, started rolling on the floor from the pain. You bitch, the other thug says as he pulls out a knife, but he doesn't get a chance to use it, but a sudden kick from Layla sends him flying into a nearby wall. By the gods, that was amazing. We heard Bruce shout from the other end of the room. Rushed over to Layla, he grabs her by both her shoulders. Layla looks a bit shocked, but she quickly realizes that there is no ill intent behind the man's action, so she doesn't attack him. Stunts like that, you could take out a small battalion by yourself, Bruce says enthusiastically. How did they even manage to capture you? Suddenly Bruce realizes he got carried away too much, and he releases Layla from his grasp. I'm sorry, Bruce says. I know that you don't like to talk, but I just wanted you to know that I've got your back whenever you feel like you're in a pinch in the arena. Remember that you can count on me to help. That's all I wanted to say. Layla looks a bit confused, but she nods slowly in acknowledgement of his words. She's actually stronger than me, even though I have more points than her because I didn't invest in anything. strength wise, in this playthrough at least. Acknowledgement of his words. Alright, then Bruce says, I'll be over there if you need me. He then turns away from her and goes back to his room, end of the room. The thug that got punched in the stomach managed to get back on his feet, and he is now rushing towards his fallen comrade, who still hasn't woken up from his collision with the wall. Eventually he manages to wake him up, and then they both walk towards their corner of the room without even daring to glare towards Lena on their way back. Nothing else happens during the 2-hour long Are we not gonna tell them? Well, I suppose we shouldn't, because we have we don't need to give out our ability. I suppose we could tell Layla, but still, whatever. Nothing else happened during the 2-hour long recreation period. The mage from yesterday isolated himself just like everyone else, and he hadn't exchanged a single word with anyone. I would have expected Wilhelm to welcome him to the division like he did with me, but it seems that he didn't consider him worth the bother. After we return to our cells, I go to sit on my bed and open my notebook. Not long after I start reading, I hear 3 light knocks on my door. Who is it? Yes, there is no answer. A few seconds later, there are 3 more knocks on the door, which are a little louder than the last one. I think it's the girl, I'm guessing, so let's open the door. Okay, I'll be right there, I say, as I put my notebook down, get up from the bed. When I open the door, I'm surprised to see that my mysterious visitor was in fact Layla. Oh, it's you, I say. Layla doesn't say anything, but I see her blue writing forming in front of her as you. I don't understand why she doesn't talk. Did she talk about this? It's been a very long time since I last recorded, so I don't remember, but maybe she told us why she doesn't talk. Maybe she can't talk. I don't think she's a mute. I don't know why she doesn't talk. Maybe she's acting. I don't remember. If you remember, leave in the description. Has she told us about not in the description, in the comments, has she ever told us about whether she can talk or not? Because I don't remember that. Oh yeah, whatever. Can you come with me? Layla writes. There's something I need to show you. Sure, I say. Let me just lock the door. After I'm done locking the door behind me, I follow Layla and we head towards her cell. We're both inside her room, and she locks the door. She points towards the wall behind her bed, and her blue writing appears in front of her once again. Please place your hand on that wall and tell me if you feel anything special, Layla writes. I place my hand on the wall like she says, but I couldn't feel anything. I don't feel anything. Could you give me some sort of hint? I say, what exactly am I looking for? Don't try to look, Layla said. You need to feel it. Try concentrating your magical sense on your hand as you're touching the wall. You understand what I mean? As I do what Layla says, suddenly realize that the wall is somehow resonating perfectly with my magical aura that is directly reacting directly to my touch. Okay, you're right, I tell her. There's definitely more to this wall than you can tell just by looking. It's not doing anything. Even if it's reacting directly to my touch, I feel like it's still waiting for something to happen. Layla nods. That's because the wall on the opposite side of the room is made in the same way, Layla writes. I think that these walls react directly to our Lassetti auras, and that they are supposed to act as switches that need to be pressed at the same time by 2 different Lassetti. Switches for what, I ask. For opening a passage to the underground caverns beneath these tunnels, Layla writes. I've seen these kinds of switches before in other buildings made by Lassetti. They always open up secret passages. I've heard that the caverns below us, where the arena's owner is keeping all the creatures locked up. If we could get a quick look, we'd at least know what we'll be going up against, or even better, we could sabotage the whole show by killing the creatures one by one while they're in their cage instead of fighting them all at once in the arena. It does sound tempting, I say, but what if they catch us? Won't they be able to disqualify us for cheating? There are no rules saying that we can't kill the creatures before the arena event begins. Layla writes. However, Layla pauses. However, what? I ask. However, Layla continues, the rules of the arena do state for the safety of the participants is not guaranteed outside of the area designated for the division. So what you're saying is that if they catch us in the act, they can unleash all their beast upon us without any restraint. Layla nods. You can just go back. We can just go take a look, Layla writes, and if we see that there are too many guards, go back to our cell. I pause for a bit. Why did I say, alright, I already know what we're going to be facing? What the hell? You see, this is the shit. They don't give a choice. There is always an illusion of choice. I suppose it is like democracy. There's always an illusion of choice. You always will feel like you're winning, but not really now. Not really. Alright, I say, we'll take one look and we can decide after that. Layla nods again, then she goes to the other end of the room near the door, extended hand towards the wall. Are you ready? She writes. She writes? Oh, right, she writes. Okay. As ready as I'll ever be, I guess, I say. Layla then places her hand on the wall. At the same time, I can feel a sort of magical current flowing through my palm. Almost immediately afterwards, the floor beneath us opens up, and the next thing we know, we're both falling into a pit. I don't think that's a good idea. How will we get up again? Well, we can see the floor to our room slowly closing itself back up above our heads. After what seems like a 100-foot fall, we fall into an underground lake with a big splash. There could be a monster underneath there. As I tread water to keep myself afloat, I take a look above me to see if there's any way we can go back the way we came. The cavern's wall and ceiling around us seem to be lit with some sort of glowing blue crystal that are providing a fair bit of lighting throughout the area, but I see no obvious way to climb back up to our cell. The only things leading upwards are some ropes that are tied to a pulley which are hanging from the ceiling. There's no way I could climb all the way up there on some rope.